PhD.
To look clean on the side.
We recognize the presence of His Excellency, Dr. Umar Abdullahi Ganduje. We'd like to welcome you, sir. We recognize the presence of distinguished Senator Mohammed Ogoshi Haliru Jika, distinguished Senator Excellency, Reverend Amos Yohana of Nigeria. We welcome you, distinguished Senator Edward Sampson, PhD. We welcome you, sir. GCFR, along with his vice, His Excellency Atiku was sitting at our GCO, just joining us. As soon as the chairman returns to his seat, after exchange of pleasantries.
Our distinguished invitees, please, can you take your seats? The program is running live now. That things are done rightly and positively. He's not very extrovertive, but you know he's a great connector. And you know that Aminu is a man you can't ask, what can he do? Senator David Mark lectured him very, very well. So he has an idea of what he does. And so we took excuse from his wife and said to her, we're going to celebrate our friend and we want the family to be on the same page with us. So I must say that everything we did, all we needed was his nod. And we have brought him here to see how nice it can be to be celebrated for a man that has given so much to a country. I'm sure you know, beyond Aminu's legal profession, which he dearly loves, you only know Aminu again as a politician, and he is extremely good at what he does. Aminu was a legislative staff, just like me. And when he got to the House of Reps in 2003, he was a member, he was deputy chairman, Rules and Business Committee, and before you knew it, Aminu had, they've done what they needed to do, and Aminu became the minority leader of the House of Reps. At that time, I didn't know how important minority that was, but a very close friend of mine who was in my committee at the time, Kabiru Omar, kept telling me about Tambuwal. Of course, the 360 member house. I was considered on my Marine Transport Committee. So he said to me, you need to know this man, you need to know him closely. So I got to know him, and I saw he was all over the place. When in 2007, we began to do a few things in the house. Aminu was by Madam Ete consistently. But we said, okay, we have to do a few things. But we knew the man we had to contend with was Aminu. But after that, at that time he had become, from minority leader to deputy whip of the house from minority leader on this side to the deputy whip on this side, representing the largest caucus of the House of Reps. And from there, I mean, that time he was my deputy, but today is my boss. President Jonathan, I'm sure he would have loved this part. When the House took a decision as to where to go, President Jonathan had other ideas with President Obasanjo, and we told them that we also have some ideas. So to make that idea work, we had to put forward Tambuwal. And once we put him forward, the House, with the cooperation of my sister, the House came to one page. And Aminu did what he knows how best to do and became a very, very stable speaker for 4 years. The people of Sokoto wanted him more than we wanted him. And he went to Sokoto on sabbatical. He's back here as a national player. Ladies and gentlemen, we decided for a man that has done so much, the only presiding officer I know, and Governor Masari will attend to that, to have traveled through the 360 federal constituencies, visiting his members while he was speaker in office. Such a man deserves to be celebrated. That is why we had to go the extra mile to celebrate him.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chair.
Please be seated. If I can quote that former governor of Kano State, is still running after me. And of course, I must especially recognize, and I will be talking a little bit about him, especially recognize the celebrant and his dear wife. Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Happy birthday and many happy returns. I will just mention Bishop Kuka because he came late. And Bishop Kuka, you should remember this. Rapture. When God has come to take all of us to heaven, if you are not present, we will all leave you behind. You know, this occasion, now, before I talk about this occasion, you don't mind me mentioning my daughter, my first daughter, and if I just introduce her or mention her as my first daughter, I will get a bollocking when I get back home. I must introduce her as my first daughter and my first child, Senator Obasanjo. Because he said if I just introduce her as my first daughter, they may think that there is a son who is senior to her in the family. I have a nostalgic feeling here. And the reason is that when I came in and I look around and I walk around, it gives me good memory of the past. good memories of the past. And I feel as if we were playing back the past. Somebody like Senator David Mark. Only 3 days ago or thereabout, I was talking to him, and I said, you know, I've known you for a while when you were a major, and I identified you and singled you out for a difficult task, even as a major. That time, they were colonels, they were generals. I made you the chairman of the Abandoned Properties Committee, and you did a good job of it. Since then, your path has been crossing mine has been crossing yours, until now that I am growing old and I have stopped having path crossing. From what we have heard and from what we have seen of the documentary, and from particularly the points made by your boss and your junior, Governor Emeka Ihedioha, your life has been a monumental life of service. Not only in your community, not only at the political level, but at every level, your life has touched other lives for good. And we thank God for that. You know, the governor, Ihedioha, mentioned, and I must make the point, that when you are going to become speaker, the then president and myself, as member of the party, didn't quite agree with what you are trying to do. Not because of anything, it's because we felt that if for the first time a woman became the speaker of the House, we should encourage her to remain as Speaker of the House. But you members thought otherwise, and you took your decision, and we supported your decision. And initially, even you yourself, you were not sure of where we will stand, but we stand with you, and we supported you. One thing that I saw in you and had made me admire you very well, not one thing, two things. One is your humility. I believe that greatness in any human being that does not include humility is greatness that is hollow. Your greatness is not hollow, because your greatness is greatness based on humility. The second thing was, what you have seen and which I have seen. When you were living as the speaker, you came to me to seek advice what you should do next. And I said to you that having been the speaker in the House, and maybe looking ahead, you should try and do something at the gubernatorial level. I didn't know that you went to another friend of mine to seek the same advice. You went to Amejoda, may his soul rest in peace. And I didn't know, he didn't know, and you asked him to advise you. And he gave you the same piece of advice that I gave you. And you followed it up. You know, they say wise men think alike. Fools too think alike. So, Amejoda and I, without consulting, without knowing, thought alike. And you follow the piece of advice that we separately gave you. And here we are today. For me, I am happy to be here. I am happy to be your colleague in PDP, colleague in the service of Nigeria, and colleague in service of humanity. And I will say at this point, from what I have seen of you, from what I have heard of you, from what I know of you, the sky is the limit. Maybe if I just say the sky is the limit nowadays, because they say sometime in the past, when you are trying to do something that people regard as impossible, they say you are asking for the moon. But now, people have gone to the moon, they have brought us this soil from the moon. So if you ask for the moon now, it's there. The moon is not just the limit. The moon is being the beginning. The Mars is the limit. May God continue to be with you.
Can we have yet a bigger resounding applause for the former president and distinguished chairman of this occasion, His Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo.
On his 60th birthday, I knew Tambuwal when all of us became politicians. And as a politician, he has done well. He was a member of the National Assembly, became the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and became a governor, and now a senator. To pass through all this shows that is appreciated by his people who have been voting for him. When he was the speaker, I was the president. And I know the time he was to be elected speaker, we had some issues. We had some disagreement. But one thing I must give to Tambuwal is that the parliamentarians, members of the House of Representatives, believed so much in him, supported him very well. So it shows that he has leadership attributes that are lacking in most of us who are politicians. He's done well. He held the House of Representatives. Within that period, his fellow members, his colleagues, always believed in him. They admired his leadership. And I appreciate that so much. As a president then, I appreciated that so much, even though we used to disagree in some of these areas. But I appreciated the quality of his leadership. So for today, all what I can say is that I wish him well, and I want him to grow from strength to strength. He's been a member of the House of Representatives. He's been a governor. He's a senator. He still has a lot of opportunities. And he should continue to relate well with his people so that they will continue to believe in him.
Very few words, but full of action.
Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Our path crossed in the 7th House of Representatives 2011 to 2015 when Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal was overwhelming with overwhelming support of the House membership pulled a smart one against forces bent on influencing the House on who to choose as our speaker. The rest of the drama that followed is history. During his tenure as our speaker, Honorable Tambuwal of the 7th Assembly ensured that all the women were assigned prominent roles and positions of either as chairperson of committees or deputies. We were fully engaged, with my humble self serving as the chairperson of Constituency Outreach Committee, even though as a first-time member of the House. After serving as a speaker and having performed spectacularly well, Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal was elected Governor of Sokoto State 2015 to 2023. Excellency Tambuwal's administration in Sokoto State represents a turning point in the history of Sokoto State through deliberate policies, landmark legislation, bold appointments, etc. His government entrenched women inclusion in government, public administration, education, and legal protection. We've just heard in the documentary that for the first time in the history of Sokoto State, the Tambuwal administration appointed 3 women simultaneously as commissioners, and not only that, 4 women as key special advisors. Within the state civil service, the administration significantly elevated women to position as permanent secretaries and director generals across MDAs. And at the grassroots level, Right Honorable Waziri Aminu Tambuwal positioned 97 women councillors across the state. This level of inclusion in politics and governance achieved during his tenure, the tenure of Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, have never been done from the creation of Sokoto State till date, period of 50 years. Kudos to you, sir. In conclusion, Mr. President and Chairman of the occasion, let me remind us with what 2 prominent elder statesmen said about Excellency Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. The first one is the chairman himself, President Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, said this to Senator Tambuwal 4 years ago. He said, and I quote, Governor Aminu Tambuwal of Sokoto as a dynamic, talented, and visionary leader with so many opportunities of doing much at a higher level. The second one was earlier in 2018, President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida IBB said, "I am very proud of you. Tambuwal, you belong to a generation that want to keep Nigeria as one. You have a good team. You have a good team, and I have no doubt Nigeria will give you the opportunity to put your ideas for the good of the country. You are a seasoned politician who understands the challenges of the country and has the potential to fix them. I will be happy to leave Nigeria in your hands." He ended by saying, "I will keep monitoring to ensure you do not deviate." At this junction, I would like to say, on behalf of myself, my dear husband, Professor Ahmed Mohamed Modibo, and the Nigerian girl child, Your Excellency, Right Honorable Amin Waziri Tambuwal, congratulations and happy 60th birthday. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. The former Vice President, I've been advised to skip all protocols. I will stand on the established protocol. Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, my boss, congratulations. I want to say that for me, I see him in many lights, some of which have been spoken to, and some of which I would like to speak to. Aminu has been probably the most humble of politicians that I've met in recent times, and his humility is overwhelming. And I'd like to emphasize that point, because I think that humility has taken him to where he has gotten to, and that will take him to greater heights. But Amir is also a strong family man. He's very concerned and has time, even in the midst of everything, for his family and his politics, in spite of his politics. And I appreciate that about him. He's always looking out for his family and his children. But beyond that, I'd like to say that when I call him boss, it's because, for me, Aminu represents leadership that Nigeria deserves and has not yet had. And I believe that that leadership is ingrained in him. A few of us have spoken, a few people have spoken to his leadership style. And for me, I admire that very much about him. Even though he's my younger brother, I believe that he has the potential in him because of his commitment to Nigeria to provide much needed direction and leadership. I know that from time to time, when we interact and talk about his life and about his future, Aminu represents what I think is not just the humility which we've spoken to, but represents a commitment to the nation Nigeria. And his commitment to Nigeria can never be doubted. He's as patriotic a Nigerian as I've ever met. And his patriotism is what takes him around the world, and in fact Nigeria. As Emeka said, he's as nomadic as you can find. Not for any other purpose, but just the fact that he believes in Nigeria, he believes in this one country, and of course, sometimes that may be good, other times that may be not so good. Your Excellency, sir, Bossman, happy 60th birthday. Thank you.
this resounding applause for an elder statesman and an icon.
Discussing Aminu Waziri Tambuwal and discovering him with the potential of leadership. If I am not number one, I shouldn't be more than number two. In 2003, when we won election to the House of Representatives, I was seeking the office of the Speaker. Himself, Balana Allah is there, Senator Balana Allah. They came together. Since then, to cut a long story short, we have been working with Aminu Waziri Tambuwal up to the time he became the leader, minority leader of the opposition. And he knows how it was done, why it was done. Since then, we have been together with Aminu Tambuwal. Our relationship has grown beyond politics, beyond partisan politics. We have become family friends. He has honored me specifically when his daughter got married in Katsina. In our tradition, when your daughter is getting married somewhere, in that town, you have to identify somebody you trust and make him her guardian. I am the guardian of his daughter who married our son in Katsina. I followed Aminu since that time. I was not surprised when he became the Speaker in 2011. You know, we in the House as members, we have a common platform. We know how it was done, the Ogalas and the others, how they schemed and how it was done. Aminu, I will pray for you. Certainly you have a good heart. And you know what I mean. There are certain things are not for this audience. They are not for this audience. But you have a good heart. Keep it up. May Allah, in His infinite mercy, continue to guide you, protect you, and promote you for the good of Nigeria and Nigerians. Assalamu alaikum.
2 minutes of his goodwill remarks. Your Excellency, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yes, no, this one is for TV stations. I'll just skip it over.
Thank you. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, the celebrants, and the Senate President, let me stand on all due and existing protocols. Mine is very simple one, just to wish my dear junior brother a big and sincere congratulations for joining this age. This is an age you cannot afford. You cannot afford but to always do the right thing. I know it's 2 minutes. I'll just give mine in 2 minutes. When I had a partner who was 60 years old and I was 40, and I advised him how to invest his money to be able to make more money, because he was earning 2% in the UK, and I told him where to earn 10%. He said to me, Peter, the normal life of a human being is 80. When you reach 60, you don't take risk again. It's time to reconcile with your enemies, do the right thing, because you don't have room to make amends. Haven't known Tambuwal, haven't seen this unity, and what it can do for development is a man, I can tell you, that is committed to the unity of this country, to building consensus that we need for national development, for justice, and always preaching it. And I wish you well, and I urge all of us to always continue to remember him in our prayers. Thank you, and God bless you. I have to change my glasses.
Thank you very much, Eugenia. Please permit me to stand on existing protocol, but I need to acknowledge the celebrant and his wife, and also the women constituency in the hall. You are all welcome. Today, we celebrate a remarkable milestone, and that is the 60th birthday celebration of Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. As we honor him today, we acknowledge his vision, resilience, and commitment to public service, which is what everybody has been, talking about. As a former Speaker of the House of Representatives, he exemplifies excellence in leadership, bridging diverse communities and fostering unity amongst all the people he comes across. His legacy has continued to inspire many of our colleagues and even upcoming youths in Nigeria who are also planning to serve, within the political space. Senator Tambuwal is a detribalized Nigerian, and because of this, he has continued to keep and maintain quality relationship with people from all regions of the country. He has no bias for ethnicity or religious beliefs. You can see him in church, you will see him in the mosque. I've never seen him in any Babalawo events, but when you're talking of Muslim and Christian, he's always there. Senator Tambuwal is a family man. Right from when we were in the house, I used to visit his wife a lot, and I see the way he, deals with his family. He does not joke with his children at all, and you heard that from the son when he was speaking. Finally, because we're given 2 minutes, everybody has come up here to talk about how people in the house manipulated or went against the government during the speakership. One thing that surprises me is that people keep talking about this event. Only what God wills comes to pass. And I've said this so many times.
Let me join to congratulate my dear friend, former governor, former speaker, and my comrade, Aminu Tambuwal, on the occasion of your 60th birthday. I realize you are such a young man, and may God continue to bless you and bless your wife. When I listen to everything, there is one thing I think nobody has mentioned, that no matter what anybody will say, you are also a radical in your own right. I witnessed on national television, then Speaker Tambuwal, when the police block access to the chambers, you as a colleague determined to do what you had to do. You scale the wall so that your intention cannot be aborted by the forces of state. That shows courage, that shows militancy, that shows determination. The other point that has been very well made is that the way you manage the House of Representatives at that time, when the leadership turnover was so huge, and you had a diverse house with people with different political parties, and yet you manage it so skillfully that We didn't hear of attempt to impeach Tambuwal. That shows skill, that shows large heart, that shows capacity in leadership to translate into action the diversity of Nigeria as represented in the most populous parliament in Africa, which the House of Representatives represent. The last one, sir, is a personal one. When they speak to your humility, I said, even me as a worker, Mr. Speaker, then, I lost my wife 3 days after you had become a speaker. And I was shocked that the speaker, number 5 citizen or number 4, came to the house of a worker to commiserate with me over the passage of my wife. I don't know how many people will do that. May the good Lord grant you long life, prosperity. But you know there is a matter we were discussing when I was national chairman. We haven't finished it. We must finish it. Otherwise, the matter will go to Alikali court. Thank you very much. Sorry, sir.
Applause one more time for distinguished Senator David Alechemy Bonaventure Mac, National Chairman ADC and President of the 6th and 7th Senate. Your Excellency, sir.
Your Excellency, sir, my boss, the former President General Olusegun Obasanjo, my son, the celebrant, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Aminu Waziri Tambuwal is a very trusting person. I'll make just one confession, and that will end my own statement here. When Aminu and Emeka were struggling to become Speaker and Deputy Speaker, they came to me and they said, sir, whether you like it or not, you are adopting us as your sons. PDP was a very united party, and I was already the president of the Senate. And they said, we were confiding in you that whether the president and his team want us to be Speaker and Deputy Speaker or not, we will be, and you will sponsor us. So I said to myself, how can these two young men put an old man like me in this type of position? Now here is loyalty between Aminu Tambuwal and his team and PDP as a party. And they were briefing me on occasion. They will come to me, they say, want to brief you, sir. I say, I'm going to play golf. Say, no. Well, whether you are going to play golf or not, we still brief you. We want you to sponsor us. I said, sponsor? Say, well, encourage us, as it were. So the night before the election, they came to me and they said, well, this is what we're going to do. But before that time, Dr. Bello was the chairman of PDP. We were in a meeting, and President Jonathan said, where is Tambuwal? So Bello said, Senate President, go and get him. So I said to Bello, he's from your constituency. What is my own? I'm from Benue. He said, well, they are the one who knows how to locate them, and they are the one controlling them. Well, sir, for once, I disobeyed you, sir. Mr. President, I'm making that confession. And to tell you that Aminu is a very trusting person. For me, he's my son who is celebrating his 60th birthday. I wish you a blessed 60th birthday, and I wish you God's guidance and protection. Thank you.
No, take it away. Yeah. Your Excellency, my President and former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Your Excellency, the former Senate President and also the Chairman of ADC, the celebrant,
I don't know whether to call him my younger brother or my son or both. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when I was having my vacation abroad and I was contacted to break my vacation to return home and be part of this event, I had absolutely no hesitation to do that. Absolutely. This is simply because today we are celebrating the life of a remarkable Nigerian leader, a patriot, and a leader in the making, who I believe are the kind of leaders that we are looking forward to producing in this country. And therefore, let me use this opportunity again to congratulate Senator, Governor, Representative, Waziri Tambuwal for attaining this golden age. You have had a lot of speeches, a lot of goodwill messages, a lot of predictions, a lot of prayers. We only hope and pray you will not disappoint Nigerians by making sure that you live up to all those wishes and prayers. Let me therefore use this opportunity to congratulate you, congratulate your family for the remarkable achievements you have made in your political career, and wish you the very best. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
And, you know, I'm not Atahiru Jega, so I am representing Atahiru Jega because 2 days ago he sent me word that he is unable to be here because of an emergency health situation. And I think because he could not direct Professor Gambari to deliver the paper, he instead directed me to be here. And I am here. Now, a lot of speakers have mentioned the context within which they have related to the celebrant. For both Atahiru Jega and I, the celebrant is not our son, but he's our younger brother, a distinguished younger brother indeed. And Atahiru Jega is very happy to have been asked to say something here. And I will say, on behalf of teachers in this room, I've heard Professor Modibo, I've not seen him, I've known Professor Aren Shehu, I've seen Professor Gambari, and several others. We are happy that teachers have been asked to sneak into this room, made of really important people in the country. And I'm glad that we have received tidbits that we would not ordinarily have received without being here, to hear what goes on that is said or unsaid concerning our political process. So, on my own behalf and on behalf of Atahiru Jega, we really congratulate the celebrant for this important milestone. But its importance is beyond simply the celebrant. Its importance is to reflect as a society, as a country, about where we are here. Ataru Jega is very happy that this platform is given, because when you have a message to deliver for Nigeria, this is the best place for it now.
I will just pass it.
Ataru Jega lately has been very worried, I know very well, about the issue of elite consensus in our country. The whole question that we have to ensure that we do not rock the boat by our selfishness and lack of planning and search for power or for money unconnected to public purposes. And therefore, it is necessary to use any and all opportunities given to us to reflect and pass on the message concerning elite consensus. And what exactly, in summary, I will say that Jega has given me the leeway to present his paper as I so wish, to edit, to remove, to add. But I have chosen to summarize it in 5 minutes and then summarize aspects of the presentation as you have given it. First and foremost is Ataru's observation that globally democracy appears to be receding after the high point of the 1990s. And this is so especially in Africa. And in countries like ours that are said to be in transition, there have been remarkable backsliding, which contrasts sharply with the hopes and ideas and ideals of the 1990s. Now, he has given a lot of reasons why we are having problems in deepening our democracy in Nigeria and beyond Nigeria. But Ataru Jega is not a pessimist, because he says despite the real challenges of democracy and democratization in Nigeria, there is a bright future for a democracy that actually is inclusive, participatory, and actually delivers on the mandates politicians run on. Now, that is logically the only ground why Ataru Jega will offer any recommendations. Because if one believes that we are so bad and nothing can change, then there is no point in making any recommendations about anything. So the recommendations Ataru gives should tell all of us that he believes, despite what he has seen as real problems with our democratization, especially in relation to electoral system, that the hunger of Nigerians for what is right and good will carry us through to do the necessary reforms that are needed in our politics and society more broadly. How does he make this argument? First, he defines the topic. The topic is the future of democratic governance in Nigeria, pathways to national cohesion, human security, and economic renewal. He first introduces the concepts. What is governance? We know what it is in terms of any arrangement for certain outcomes in society. But beyond it, he is bent on democratic governance, governance that is inclusive, participatory, and based on human rights. and the rule of law. These are critical to democratic governance. He now takes the issue of human security or national cohesion, which is clearly a major issue in terms of ability of a society to find means of working as one, in spite of, and especially because of the differences in society. Then he deals with the issue, I'm talking broadly of these basic concepts of economic renewal in terms of what needs to be done in the area of production and distribution in our society. And he makes the case that democratic governance is connected to cohesion, human security, and economic renewal. They are concepts that reinforce one another. He now moves to the real question of the current state of governance in Nigeria, which is his major concern. Now, his judgment is that patrimonial and prebendal arrangements have actually demeaned our efforts to deepen democracy in our country. And he has seen what he says, the good, the bad, and the ugly in the journey of Nigeria from 1999 to date, which is, the evidence is mixed, but the trajectory is not good enough. In the trajectory, in terms of attainments, he uses different indices, different methods of getting data, and none of which puts us in a light that we would like. This is something fundamentally that we have to change. He says, beyond a reasonable doubt, the practice of liberal democracy in Nigeria has been replete with the good, the bad, and the ugly sides, and that the practice of democracy is eclectic here. With a few exceptions, he says, many enter into politics or public life to serve themselves, which is something that cannot sustain our societies. There is a lot of inequality, a lot of disregard for the rule of law. This cannot deepen democracy and cannot bring social cohesion. For today, he says that a lot of issues bedevil the country. We know them from Boko Haram insurgency to all kinds of centrifugal forces and communal and sectarian crisis. Certainly, there is no national cohesion if elites mobilize ethnic, religious, regional, and other identities in the search for power. The incidence of poverty in Nigeria is a major matter that connects to lack of democracy, because by every account there is a lot of poverty and hunger in the land. And this certainly is not what politicians have been mandated to just look and do nothing about. Whether you talk of West Africa or Africa as a whole, Nigeria is not the leader of countries that should give example in terms of being number one, number two, number three. Even in West Africa, we are not number one or number two or number three, which is something that we have to really listen to. Some of the data, you can argue, may have methodological questions, but not all the data is simply created. No, just let me finish. Don't. Let me finish. So, the issue is this: there is a lot of untoward activity concerning how we select leaders without regard for competence or experience or moral standing. And there is a lot of corruption, especially in the way parties run their affairs. This has implications for the country, because when you select people wrongly without regard to public purposes, they're unlikely to do good, and they will reproduce themselves. This is dangerous, because then a system that is bad has a capacity to reproduce itself, especially in the context of poverty, which is a big issue in the country. Now, it is necessary, therefore, that we seek pathways to good governance. We seek pathways to cohesion. The very first element is national purpose. Who are we? What are we as a nation? What do we seek to achieve? As leaders, as followers, we have, each one of us, a responsibility to do something positive. And this is the issue. It's not about government alone. It is about each and every one of us having responsibility to do what is right. But we cannot do what is right alone. We have to have partnerships in order for things to work for all of us. He talks a lot about the problem of electoral system, and in elections in particular, a matter he knows one or two things about, that neither parties nor even elected officials stick with the rules, and this gives an impression that crooked systems are right when they are not. So we need to revitalize our economy, because without an economic foundation, you cannot sustain democracy. You cannot sustain leadership within West Africa. You cannot sustain leadership also outside. This is why, in addition to having a good economic renewal system, you must have a good education system to back it up. Education is key, not only in terms of civic responsibility you teach, but in terms of capacities that are created through education. And through education, some of the primordial sentiments and illiteracy about the country, because there is a lot of illiteracy about what is happening in the country. This can be reversed through dedicated effort. Atiku recommends many things. Primarily, the issue of legal framework for elections and the effort that must be discontinued, whereby needed reforms are blocked even by those who should make the laws. This is a dangerous thing which he sees as happening. In the same way, there is too much litigation. Everyone who wins is targeted as having won wrongly. and litigation continues, and it further destroys the social fabric. That is why, from the very beginning, establish and run transparent elections. Parties must also respect their own constitutions, and judicial pronouncements must also be sound, because he worries a lot about corruption in the judiciary as well. Now, all of us as stakeholders, Ataru insists, and this is not a task for one institution, one level of government, and the problems have accumulated over time. So it's not helpful to pick one government, one administration, and blame every problem on it. These things have taken time to accumulate. We have to have the patience and the courage and the competence to address them. Now, there is also need, he says, for comprehensive and effective security sector reforms, because at some time, in certain occasions, even the security operatives themselves are suspect. This becomes necessary, therefore, that there is very comprehensive security sector reform and involvement of every level of government in what happens. Now, in conclusion, Ataru Jega recommends careful selection of leaders and the raising of elites that are committed to leadership by example, who are transparent, responsive, and accountable. A bit of patriotism, in fact, a whole dose of patriotism is required if we are to overcome not only the challenges of division, but also the insecurity which has ravaged all of us. Now, the main conclusion is partnerships, collaboration, and vision are needed. And this is the message I've been asked to deliver. Thank you very much indeed.
Please, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can we, if we came to respect and honor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, can we take our seats, please?
The celebrant of his amiable wife. My name is Abba Moro. I represent the President of the Senate. And this is a goodwill, a tribute Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, CFR, a milestone of purpose, celebrating a statesman at 60. It is a birthday tribute by the President of the Senate, Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, Distinguished Senator Gospel Obot Akpabio, GCON, delivered at the 60th birthday colloquium of Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, CFR, at this event. My dear colleagues in the Senate and other arms of government, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, eminent scholars, friends, and compatriots, it's a day that we are celebrating one of our own at 60, Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. It is 60 years, not merely a count of seasons, it is a record of purpose. It is an age at which life is no longer measured by ambition, but by contribution. By the quiet, stubborn insistence on service, even when the cost is high and applause is uncertain. Senator Tambuwal's record of public service stands firmly within this noble tradition.
From the legislature to the executive, from moments of consensus to seasons of contention, he has remained guided by the steady compass, constitutionalism, democratic integrity, and national unity. His tenure as Speaker of the House of Representatives, during one of the most consequential periods in our parliamentary history, remains a reference point for legislative independence and institutional courage. His service as Governor of Sokoto State further affirmed his belief that leadership must translate ideas into impact and policy into people's lives. What distinguishes Senator Tambuwal is not merely the offices he has held, but the restraint with which he has wielded authority, the dignity with which he has navigated disagreement, and the discipline with which he has remained loyal to democratic norms, even under intense pressure. In an era often defined by noise and excess, he has shown that quiet conviction can still move history. It is therefore most fitting that this milestone is marked not merely with celebration, but reflection. Through colloquium that speaks to the future of democratic governance, national cohesion and renewal. The theme, therefore, resonates deeply with the values of the celebrant, consistently embodied, and the presence of elder statesmen and iconic leaders such as His Excellency President Olusegun Obasanjo and distinguished scholars all underscore the national significance of this celebration. On behalf of the Senate of the National Assembly, I congratulate Senator Tambuwal on attaining this distinguished milestone. We salute a life of service still in motion, a mind still engaged, and a voice still relevant in ongoing conversation about Nigeria's destiny. As you enter this new decade, distinguished Senator, may wisdom deepen, strength be renewed, and your contributions to our nation continue to illuminate the path ahead. Nigeria still needs steady hands, thoughtful minds, and leaders who understand democracy, that democracy is not just an event, but a covenant. May the years ahead be as impactful as those already lived. I want to thank God for your life, and I want to say that at this moment, with the gathering of the plethora of Nigerians who have seen everything and done virtually everything, brought together by this illustrious son of Nigeria. It is our hope that with their wisdom, from the apostle of the doctrine of necessity to the man who has seen it all and done it all, we believe that this gathering of Nigerians on the occasion of this 60th birthday of Alhaji Ibrahim Tambuwal, Nigeria's hope is alive. And it is our belief that if these men gather today to witness this milestone and are unable to rescue Nigeria's democracy, then they will not have a story to tell their ancestors when they get there. And therefore, with your milestone at 60, we hope that the gathering of these Nigerians will rescue Nigeria and place Nigeria on a more formidable democratic foundation. Happy birthday.
And his lifestyle at 60 reflects unwavering commitment to democracy, to service, and of course to what I will refer to as a common, an uncommon and passionate leader. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not very busy, can we hear it for the birthday boy at 60?
Thank you very much, Andy. Good luck, Ebele Jonathan, GCFR, former Vice President, our leader, Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar, the former President of the Senate, who so far is the only one with that record of doing it twice, 6th and 7th Senate, Senator David Mack, other former presiding officers of the National Assembly, the representative of the President of the Senate and Minority Leader of the Senate, Senator Abba Moro, the guest speaker who gave us a very, very insightful lecture, Professor Tahir Jega, ably represented by his brother, Professor Tijani Bande, great leaders that are here, my dear wife, members of my family that are here, invited guests, members of the diplomatic corps, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a very, very worthwhile time well spent. I am finding it difficult to really find what to say in the midst of what I've seen and what has been pouring out in between last night through this morning up till this afternoon of goodwill and well wishes. I was asking myself whether all of this is really coming to me, that Aminu, that was 60 years, a toddler, roaming about the village of Tambuwal. But is the reality of it. And I don't know how to thank all of you. My friend Ibrahim Matola and his wife had to fly in from Malawi. Our path crossed with Ibrahim Matola when we were both on ACP-EU mission, African, Caribbean, and Pacific and European Union Parliamentary Assembly in Brussels. And we remained friends till today. He had served as the immediate past Minister of Energy of Malawi, and is still very active. I thank you, my brother and friend, and your wife, for taking time to fly in and being here with us all through this event. My brother Emeka had said it all. It has never happened, but they have decided to make it happen. And indeed, it had happened with a very big bang. I never celebrated my birthday. My senior brothers are here, my sister is here, members of my family are here. Every effort by even my wife to celebrate birthday was turned down. But this time around, the master of the coup protein, Meka Ehedoha, contracted some of my younger brothers that I can hardly say no to, led by Abdusamad Dasuki, to come and meet me and say, look, Oga, this time around, please, don't travel. I said, travel to where? They said, you normally travel around January. I said, yes, I do. And last year, I was in Saudi Arabia by this time, thanking God Almighty for all that He has done in my life. But they insisted that, look, please, let us do something to mark your 60th birthday. I said, well, something like what? I engaged them truly to define what it should be. Not a merry-making event, not something that will not resonate and rhyme with the realities of our current situation in Nigeria. And I'm indeed happy with the choice of the theme and the lecture for the colloquium, because it is all about the people of this country. It is all about good governance. It is not about me. It is not about merry-making. It is about looking for a pathway for our country. Whether we like it or not, where we are today is unfortunate. This is not where we expected to be. Those who laid the foundation for this democracy, some alive, many of them are not living. Even in their graves, are not happy with the current situation of Nigeria. Those living who believe in Nigeria, who are genuine about Nigeria, who are not selfish, cannot be happy with the current situation in Nigeria. The only way out of it is for all of us to agree that there is something fundamentally wrong with what we are doing and having as government in Nigeria today. Therefore, we must resolve to work together and bail out the country. Our country is in peril, and we are looking for salvation. And it's a collective process. It is not about partisanship. It is not about political parties alone. Yes, I agree with Dr. Bugaji that the political parties must put forward programs and come out with clear ideas of how to run the country. I do agree. But we must all be involved. Why? Because we are involved as citizens of this country. And we have nowhere to go to. And we have nowhere to run to. But we have to remain in Nigeria and make sure that we do the right thing for us to have the right leadership. Otherwise, what has been described by Pat Otomi will continue to be. People finding their way into the public offices and public spaces, and then making sure that they continue either to remain or to bring in those that are even worse than them into those offices. So it's a collective responsibility, and I, for one, especially with what my elder brother Peter Obi said, and so many leaders, and Vice President Atiku Abubakar said so, that a lot is being expected of me at this age, that I have passed the age of looking left, right, and center, even though I'm yet to get to you, Emeka. I know you are my senior, don't worry. But I have attained this age, and therefore, I must also recommit myself to what I'd always believed in, even as a younger person. I may not be taking too much risk, even though I'm prepared to take some of these risks, but I recommit myself to working along with every Nigerian who believes in finding and enthroning good democratic governance for this country. I thank you very much. I thank every one of you who has been here and those who have sent in their goodwill messages, and particularly the planning committee, ably led by my brother Emeka Ihedioha, members of my family and everyone. I thank you so very much. May God Almighty continue to reward you abundantly. Rest assured that by His grace, I shall remain what I have been, and I shall remain Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Has he spoken as an elder statesman? If he has spoken as a statesman, those of you who believe he has spoken as a statesman, say aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. Please give him a round of applause one more time.
Now, the focus of this celebratory colloquium is charting a pathway forward for Nigeria's future democratic governance. And stakeholders believe that the leadership recruitment process must throw up leaders who have the competence, the character, the integrity, and the presence of mind to ensure that Nigerians enjoy the dividends of democracy. Daily Omoyeni, Channels Television News.